Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Thursday's Theology. My name is Jeff, and I'm your host. And we are currently in a series exploring the parables of Jesus, and we've talked about some kingdom parables. And today's parable is definitely, thoroughly a kingdom parable, which we'll get into in a second. But I wanted to express the fact that the kingdom parables are really, really important, just because it is, for us, a glimpse of what the kingdom of God is. Again, parables are used by Jesus to kind of communicate these deeper truths and deeper realities for us to understand. And these kingdom parables are no different. They are ones that we have to listen to and understand, that they're talking about a much, much deeper truth than what is our current reality. So I just wanted to say that. So today's parable is, again, a little bit of an obscure one, but it comes in a series of teachings that Jesus is doing. This is found in Matthew chapter 13, and the parable that we're going to be working with today is one called the parable of the hidden treasure, or it's also called the parable of the hidden pearl. It consists of only 3 verses, which I'll go ahead and read in just a second, but these 2 short parables come in a string of other parables that Jesus is teaching. So at the very beginning of Matthew chapter 13, Jesus is on the shoreline of the Sea of Galilee, and there's lots of people around him. The Gospel of Matthew describes it as a great crowd gathering around him. So what Jesus does is he hops on a boat and he goes out just a little bit from shore. That way he's able to address everybody. So he's out on the boat, he's doing several of these teachings, and a lot of these parables that he's using are kingdom parables. So these 2 small parables come in a line of other kingdom parables. This is where the famous parable of the sower, which we'll talk about next week, comes from. So this is the parable of the hidden treasure / pearl. So this is Matthew chapter 13, verses 44, 45, and 46, and it says, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for a fine pearl. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything that he had and bought it." And that's it. Those are the 3 verses that consist of these 2 parables. Now, the deeper things going on here is that, again, Jesus is communicating a deeper truth about the kingdom of heaven and what it is like. So one of the artists that I absolutely love listening to is a guy named John Foreman, and he does a bunch of solo work, but he's better known as the lead singer of the band Switchfoot, which I'm just gonna say my favorite band of all time. I know that's my opinion, but I think Switchfoot is an absolutely wonderful band. Anyway, not the point. The point is, John Foreman has a bunch of solo albums, and one of the albums he has a song called "Your Love Is Strong," and it's basically he takes the Lord's Prayer and puts it to a very, very melodic tune. And one of the lines in that song reads this. This is from "Your Love Is Strong" by John Foreman. It says, "The kingdom of the heavens is buried treasure. Would you sell yourself to buy the one you found?" So what is going on in this parable is Christ is talking about what the kingdom of heaven is like. And John Foreman is pointing out that it's like buried treasure. And John Foreman asked the question, would you sell yourself? Would you sell everything you have to buy the one you found? Would you go out and sell everything to purchase the treasure you found? So I think what's going on here is that when we stumble upon the kingdom of heaven, it should have an impact on us that, wow, this is worth everything that I am. I need to sell everything. I need to sell out and buy this field. I need to buy this pearl. I have never found anything like it, and it is worth everything that I own. Now, this is challenging for me, especially in a pastoral role, because I am very concerned sometimes with, oh, I got to pay rent this week, or I got to fill my car up with gas, or I have all these expenses, and I can get so consumed in thinking about that. But when I read this, I wonder, do I approach the kingdom of heaven like this? Do I approach the kingdom of God in a sense of, oh, it's worth everything that I am, so I'm going to sell everything that I have? And if I'm being honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if I see the kingdom of God like this. And that scares me. I think what's going on is that when we find out the true value of what the kingdom of heaven looks like. When we discover for ourselves just the immensity of the blessing of what the kingdom of heaven is, it should have an effect on us that we go off and sell everything that we have. It should cause us to want to abandon everything that we've made for ourselves and fully go after the kingdom. Um, these two people in these parables sell everything that they have. They give up their livelihood. They give up everything that has made them who they are to go off and purchase the treasure that they have found. So I think the main takeaway from what this parable is talking about is I think it's talking about how we need to view the kingdom of God as extremely valuable. We need to view the kingdom of God as something of extreme worth and worth selling everything that we have to pursue. And I think that is a very, very challenging concept, especially for us as American Christians, and who knows, as Christians in the West in general, if we have any international listeners. But I think when we think about where we are and our social location of just the immense wealth that we experience in the United States, this is a very, very challenging parable, because what does it look like to sell everything we have? What does it look like to fully go after the kingdom of God without any regard for our earthly possessions? I doubt very much it looks like what we do now. I doubt very much it looks, I just doubt that American Christians reflect this. And there are some people that I think do reflect it, but on the whole, I don't know if the American church necessarily views the kingdom of heaven like this. And it's mind-blowing, because as I was reading and as I was preparing for this episode, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll teach on this parable. I'll teach on the hidden treasure and the hidden pearls. It's short, it's simple. I can, get that into a 10-minute episode. But as I sat down and as I was starting to think about it, I realized, man, this parable really messes with me. It really, really changes how I view the kingdom of God, because what Jesus is saying to the people around the lake it's speaking to me too. 2,000 years removed, 2,000 years later, I'm sitting here and I'm amazed of what this parable is calling us to. Because I know there's been times in my own life where I haven't viewed the kingdom of heaven like this. I know there's times in my life where I've taken it for granted. Is the kingdom of God really something that I'm willing to sell everything that I have and pursue? And the honest answer is, I don't know. I would like to say yes. I would like to say like, oh, well, of course, I'm a pastor. I'm doing it now. But I don't think I can claim that. And I don't think a lot of other Western American Christians can either. And that messes with me. I think there's a lot of implication here about how we view material possessions. I think there's a lot of implications of how we view property and personal rights and all that stuff. So this parable, even though it's 3 verses long, it messed with me, and it continues to mess with me. So I just wanted to be honest of where I'm coming from with that, because I think that this parable in particular is one that completely messes with you and completely causes you to rethink where your value is, where you place your worth in. And I'm challenged by it. I want to pursue the kingdom of God like it's the most valuable thing I've ever experienced, but I don't know if I'm there yet. So take that for what you will. It's a challenging parable. So yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts with that. But that being said, that's kind of where we're going to end today's episode on the parable of the hidden treasure and pearl. Thank you for joining me. Again, we really enjoy having you guys here. We appreciate you giving us 10-15 minutes of your time every week to talk about theology. And we wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for viewers like you, as PBS would say. But once again, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Thursday's Theology. My name is Jeff. I'm your host. And remember, theology doesn't always have to be difficult. It is simply the study of who God is. Oh, and before we end, I forgot to mention, we have 2 more episodes on the parables. We're going to talk about the parable of the sower, and then we're also going to talk about the parable of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. Those are going to be grouped into our final episode on the parables. So we have 2 more weeks of parables, and then we're going to introduce a new series after that. So Again, let me do the tagline once more. My name is Jeff. Thank you for joining us this week for Thursday's Theology. And remember, theology doesn't always have to be difficult. It is simply the study of who God is. Take care, and we'll see you next week.